In the first phase, the team set out to build a democratic social economy. Having invested 7 years to successfully overcome the initial 2 major obstacles, they were now ready to design and build the rest of the platform. In Phase 2, an entire social networking platform would need to be built, and it needed to be as good as the existing best-of-breed networks available on the web. But the social networking features would encompass only the surface level of the overall system, less than 2% of the total work. Beneath the surface, many democratic subsystems needed to be established. In every successful democracy, citizens spend many years in school, kindergarten through high school, and often college, university, and graduate school as well, to learn how to become productive members of the economy. Embracing some learnings from the real world, the team envisioned a knowledge and educational system that was merit-based. Educators called success coaches would only be compensated for their students that actually became successful in the economy. A political system would need to be developed, again using hindsight to improve on the lessons from real-life modern democracies, as many were paralyzed by partisan bickering and political stalemate. The team would then need to invent many of the multifaceted technical elements required to host a futuristic web-based economy, capable of delivering dozens of specialized knowledge-based roles to people everywhere. One of the most perplexing aspects of the project would involve integrating all the layers in a seamless manner, reconciling complex and often conflicting objectives.
Right off the bat, it's safe to say we were intimidated by the sheer size and scope of what needed to happen. In software projects, as the number of features and requirements go up, the complexity of the project goes up exponentially, as does the time and cost it will take to successfully complete the project.
Software development experts were brought in from many different companies and industries. The experts soon concluded that what was being attempted was one of the largest software projects ever, in terms of layers, scope, scale, complexity, and cost. They advised that the success of the project was uncertain using current software development tools and methodologies, and with the company's non-existent budget. In short, the experts predicted that the team would likely fail. The team was about to find out how sometimes it pays to listen to the experts.
We weren't blind to the difficulties or the predictions that we might fail. We just had this unshakable belief in the W-ta-ta concept. We knew that if we wanted to accomplish our mission bad enough, we'd find a way.
Over months of intense research and deliberation, the team boiled down the problem to answering one simple question. How could they increase their pace of innovation, design, and software production by a factor of 20 times? It started to become abundantly clear that if they were to succeed, they would need to invent an entirely new way of working. Their first innovations would need to be in the areas of human and industrial psychology, culture, and teamwork. Step 1 was to inspire everyone involved to dream and think bigger than they had ever thought possible. Employment at Fanbox started with weeks of orientation and learning, where new team members were introduced to novel concepts that showed them a different way of looking at the world and working with others. Some of the world's top experts were brought in to teach the latest findings and breakthroughs in psychology and human potential. Team members were taught to visualize the most successful outcome that they were capable of imagining when embarking on a new project, including and especially when they were not yet able to see the steps needed to take the project from start to end.
What was accomplished was the suspension of disbelief. The words, "that can't be done," or "that's impossible," were removed from the company vocabulary. If you were caught saying that, someone friendly would probably pull you aside and say, "Don't say that," or "Don't ever say that in there."
By making it culturally unacceptable to shoot down anyone's ideas or opinions, especially during the brainstorming stage, a whole world of opportunities opened up to the company, significantly increasing the likelihood of technological breakthroughs and inventions. Once team members were consistently thinking big, they would now need a safe environment to get started. They needed to be okay with failing. When you study the great successes in every field, the athletes, the great inventors, the ones that succeeded more than anyone else, you find that they also failed more than anyone else.
We set out to create a culture that promoted trying, one that actually cheered risk-taking and failure.
Regular award ceremonies highlighted team members that took the most risks. Winners presented their learnings, and gradually everyone internalized that failing was a necessary stepping stone to success. In the technology arena, if you're not failing, you're dying. Once teams were thinking big and setting audacious goals, and moving forward without fear of failure, it was time to increase project speed by igniting efficiency. Just a few decades ago, when a jet airplane took off for its destination, the winds and other environmental factors caused it to be off course over 90% of the time. As a result, travel took much longer than it does today, and it was many times more expensive. Over the years, engineers designed electronic sensors that provide constant feedback to the engines and to the hydraulics, rapidly forcing the plane back on track, making it more efficient and many times faster. People working in company departments are similar to jet airplanes. As they work towards the accomplishment of objectives and goals, most of the time they're off track. And just like jet airplanes, it's feedback that gets them back on track. But in this case, the feedback would need to come from team members, not from electronic sensors. The problem is that we all come from a culture where we're taught to only give positive feedback to each other. We're taught to be nice and get along, so it's hard to give people constructive criticism, but it's when someone points out that we're going the wrong way that we learn and course correct. Fanbox attempted to change the culture by introducing a new framework for giving honest feedback called OC. OC is a step-by-step process that ensures the feedback giver always feels encouraged and appreciated, which motivates them to repeat the action, eventually forming a habit. Through practice and repetition, OC became a routine part of the culture, with team members eventually concluding that those that gave them the most constructive criticism, or open communication, were their best friends within the organization. The successful enabling of honest and rapid feedback in the culture allowed projects to course correct more frequently, resulting in profound efficiency gains and speed in departments. A whole new level of innovation was achieved after the team was thinking big and moving forward without fear. And despite the new velocity created through efficiency gains, many projects continued to be blocked from accomplishing their goals. There were walls that needed to be broken down. A major reason most complex projects fail within companies is that they require cooperation from different departments. But each department has its own priorities, and those often conflict with the priorities of other departments, creating barriers that block important company objectives. To break down these virtual walls, the cultural architects embarked on a strategy to foster strong relationships between people in different departments. Upon joining the company, all team members were randomly and permanently assigned a color: yellow, orange, green, or blue. On a regular basis, teams of people would gather by their color to socialize. Games and competitions between the four colored teams followed. Each quarter culminated with the Fanbox Olympics, where all employees would gather at an off-site location to participate in physical and mental competition. Over time, team members' colors defined their social circles and where much of their loyalty was placed. In their projects, if they needed help from a different department, they'd look up who they knew from their own team within that department. The result is that the walls between departments collapsed, removing the all-too-common obstacle that blocks success in most companies. To this day, team colors and the Olympics remain an important aspect of life at the company, allowing everyone to blow off steam while maintaining interdepartmental communication. With its unique culture firmly in place, the company was ready to embrace its massive software development challenge. Regardless of what part of the puzzle they were working on, everyone was working toward the realization of the same mission. Those were exciting times. It was in this electric atmosphere that some of social media's most important innovations occurred. Hundreds of inventions resulted, with dozens of them appearing as official patent awards and filings from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. One of those patents was for the invention of applications in social networks. Today, virtually all top social media platforms have adopted Fanbox's patented technology, which allows application developers to build and launch apps in their own platform. Intellectual property and patent expert and author Joseph Aggiato said, "It is virtually impossible to monetize social media without violating Fanbox's intellectual property and patents." But not all of their inventions were initially successful, or successful at all.
One of our inventions was to invite your friends using your web-based address book. The first version we launched was a disaster. It was too easy to accidentally invite everyone in your address book. We eventually added safeguards to ensure it was really hard to accidentally invite everyone.
Today, despite the fact that Fanbox has a patent pending on the address book syncing technology, it's used by all major internet companies. The Fanbox rate of innovation, measured by cost per patented invention, continues to hold as the record all-time highest across all industries. But for all their success, the storms were brewing. The team's biggest tests were still ahead of them. The Fanbox team was like one big happy family, and that's what made this next period of time so difficult for everyone. In Phase 1, the company built a global payment system using mobile phone billing infrastructure. But now, the world's mobile phone companies were changing. Finally grasping the future potential power of platforms like Fanbox, the phone companies wanted to develop their own application platforms. They were becoming increasingly unfriendly to partners that were developing networks they deemed competitive. One after another, the phone companies severed billing relationships with outside parties like Fanbox without prior notice. Since virtually all of Fanbox's revenues were derived from its mobile billing platform, the team was forced to significantly reduce its size.
That was definitely one of the most difficult periods for all of us. It was really hard to say goodbye to everyone. Probably one of the most difficult days of my life.
After the layoff, the few remaining team members voluntarily declined compensation so that what little income there was could be used for basic expenses. Along with no pay, everyone quickly got accustomed to longer hours, taking on all the work of the people that had departed. Many of the team members worked for months without a single day off.
One of the team members, Scott, didn't take a single day off in over 2 years. He was so dedicated that even when he was hospitalized for exhaustion, He snuck his laptop into the hospital bed so he could keep working. When we found out, we cut off his access to the network, of course, and forced him to rest.
As physically, emotionally, and financially challenging as these years were, the team continued to persevere. Despite the setbacks and against the odds, they remained dead set on accomplishing their mission and delivering a democratic social economy to people everywhere. Ironically, it was in this same dark period that the team received financial offers from many of the world's richest and most powerful people and firms. Multi-billionaire Barry Diller, creator of the Fox Broadcasting Company and owner of the world's largest yacht, attempted to purchase and control some or all of Fanbox. As did the Rockefeller family, considered the most powerful family in the history of the United States, and certainly one of the richest. Another billionaire, Vinod Khosla, considered by many to be the world's most successful technology investor, also made an offer. Vinod Khosla was said to have the Midas touch, the investor behind such mega successes as Intel, Netscape, Sun Microsystems, AOL, Amazon, Google, and more. Mr. Khosla offered the team the largest price that he had ever proposed on an initial investment in his 30 years of investing.
When Vinod Khosla calls you, it's like getting a call from Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones. You take the call. Mr. Khosla is the rock star of the tech industry. Heaven knows we could benefit from his experience and guidance, and we could really use the financial relief. If we accepted his offer, together we'd be worth nearly $200 million, more money than anyone could spend in a lifetime.
In the end, the team decided that accepting any investor capital before the completion of the platform might jeopardize the mission of delivering a democratic social economy that truly belongs to the people. Instead, the team respectfully declined Wall Street's advances and stayed focused on finishing its work. In the following years, the team successfully designed and engineered 93 distinctive systems, including democracy, opportunity, and educational systems. Each platform was designed to integrate seamlessly into all the other platforms. Just like the first phase, the Fanbox phase took years to complete. As one platform after another was completed and put online, the results started to pour in. Users were more engaged than their peers in other platforms. Customer satisfaction scores were higher. Advertising click rates approached 10 times the click rates of other platforms. And Fanbox users earned by far more than they earned on all other social media platforms combined. In hindsight, it all made sense. After all, history has shown that the democratic approach almost always results in happier people, powering stronger economies and higher quality of life. After many years of exhaustive work, long days and nights by nearly 1,000 brave computer scientists and engineers, hundreds of volunteer success coaches, dozens of economists, psychologists, and sociologists, and thousands of selfless users in 150 countries around the world, each personally sacrificing at levels perhaps never witnessed in any other technology company, the time had come to unveil the rest of the democratic process. For the first time in history, the customers and employees of a high-tech corporation were set to vote and elect the corporation's president from amongst the users. As the California summer threatened to fade into a memory, the fate of the project hung in the balance. With the Fanbox presidential election date quickly approaching, the team and users alike more anxiously pondered the questions they'd had all along. Who would be their new president? In what direction would he or she take the platform? And was democracy really the optimal approach for operating a technology company? As Phase 2 concluded, one thing was clear. For better or for worse, the answers to these questions would soon reveal themselves in Phase 3.
Please zoom in on it. Yeah, totally.